My involvement with the Territorial Strategic Mission Plan began right at the beginning when I was asked to be on the group, and I think for the group we felt this real sense of urgency about getting this right and an overwhelming sense of the magnitude of that task as we came together and prayed and looked at so many notes of where God was leading the Salvation Army at that time. It was great to come back to the Territory and just see TSMP everywhere, magnets on fridges, up on the walls, at the back of halls, and people really involved in making disciples. So that has been really encouraging that so many people not just had them up on their walls, but actually were committed to those goals and how they would be worked out in their place.
It really felt like the Salvation Army local core had regained its identity. It felt from before we left to when we came back that people really had rediscovered a bit of the heart and soul of the Salvation Army. It just feels now, as we've been working towards this, that it's really just time to move forward now. And we're clear about who we are. We are really visible in the community. We have quality social service programs and quality core programs, but we're just still a little bit fragmented, and the strength of the Salvation Army mission could be so enhanced if we could just bring it together. That to me is the real push of this. Early on in our leadership here in the Territory, it was a very sad day when I received it came from a group of community ministries staff and volunteers there was exactly 100 who gave some feedback. And it was really sad to see that just on 40% of that group expressed real disappointment at some of our bullying behaviours within the movement. And that was really actually a very distressing day to me, that we, the Salvation Army, known for our care and compassion for other people, could have such a negative internal culture.
I think too it's really important, isn't it, right from when we sit in a boardroom, Robert, that those leaders that sit with us, that we communicate in a way that is God-honouring, that we listen to each other, that when we're emailing or just interacting, our first response is a godly response. And I think that's a challenge for us all in this day of very fast communication, where it's very easy to put out your first thoughts. And it's a challenge to us as Christians in living a holy life. We used to sing that lovely chorus, "To be like Jesus, this hope possesses me." And I think we grapple with just pulling that back so that our living shows people that God is in us and in you. And I think now more than ever before, it's our place to rise up and just show Christ to the world.
The wonderful testimonies that the Salvation Army can have to the world is the way we disagree, and that we should actually disagree in a different way. And when we're disappointed with a decision or we're disappointed with somebody's behaviour, that we should actually handle that in a way that is holy. You know, I've made a commitment to the Territory, a very personal commitment, that as much as I am able, that I'll do the right thing in the right way for the right reason. Now, none of us get that right every day, but when you don't get it right, it's about how you own it and how you learn from it and how you grow and change and be more God-honouring in all that we do. And I'd just really love for the Salvation Army to be known internally as much as externally for our care and our compassion and our concern for each other as we go about this wonderful work that we've been called to do.
living like Jesus has to start with knowing Jesus, not just knowing what he did in the Bible and that, but knowing him personally.
It's not about whether or not I can be perfect. It's not about whether I can strive to be a deity. That's not what it's about at all. So living like Jesus for me is when I look at the life of Christ and the things that he did, it's this major emphasis on that God loves people and people matter.
Seeing them as God sees them, as a loved created being that he wants to be in relationship with.
Here in Rolleston, going to the cafe and just talking to people. Going to our family store where we get 200 plus people indoors every day. That's a hub for community. So we go where the community is, we go where the people are. We make sure we're readily available. You just be Christ in your workplace or in your school. That you represent Christ and you carry Christ wherever you are.
One of our core people is also our family store manager. So we encourage her in her role that what she does is ministry. The relationships she's building with the volunteers and those who come into the store, that is part of her job and her work. And she's created this amazing culture at the store where people feel welcome and accepted, and it's become its own little family. And that's bringing Jesus to the community. And so just showing people, encouraging people that where they are, they're bringing Jesus because they know Jesus.
We emphasize finding people where you're already doing stuff you enjoy doing. Say you're already somewhere, so just invest in those people. Jesus was Jesus no matter where he went.
Yes.
He didn't wait till he went to church. What would happen if instead of building church buildings where the people of God come, we just were the people of God everywhere? And what if every house was a church? What if, what's church? Church is where we recognize and worship God and commune with others. We'd realize, if he's not limited to a building or a program, then he's not limited to anywhere. Our job isn't to decide who's good and who's bad. Jesus was a good example of that. He went to the people that were unclean. The whole time he just went, look, you guys decide this person's bad. I'll take them. You choose the hard that you accept. You either have the hard of how do we control the volume of the drum set on a Sunday morning because people are complaining. That's a hard thing. That's a difficult thing. And every officer knows what I'm talking about. Or we choose the hard of the people that we love are having a hard time in their marriage. And we can only put energy into so many things. So we choose this hard. If you're choosing petty difficult, it's difficult, it's stressful, it's hard, you're gonna hate it. But if you just choose to carry the burdens of the people that you're set in amongst, that's the same hard, it's the same stress, but it's much more like Christ. I think the best thing anyone can do is remind themselves that people aren't emails, people aren't Facebook statuses, people aren't phones, people are people, and Jesus strives for the rehumanization of societies. If I have an issue with someone, then all right, we're having them for dinner, and we're not going to talk about the issue. We're going to talk about their life. We're going to talk about what they're going through. And 99 times out of 100, we realize that the issue is not an issue. It's that they're having a hard time. It's that they haven't slept all week. Grace and mercy is easy when we realize people have a name and a story. And it's the golden rule of treat others the way you want to be treated. So I really have a hard time seeing the downsides of pursuing a Christ-like life. Relationships with people are better. Relationships with the rest of the army as a structure is better. The stresses that I carry are less because you get a different perspective. And people are great. People are good, especially once you get past the politics and the petty issues and you get into real life, and people are awesome. So, yeah.
To be like Jesus, this hope possess.
doing mission together actually flows straight out of the army that brings life. Doing mission together is all about seeing this wholeness of life that we have as the human beings that God created us to be. We are spiritual, we are physical, we are emotional, we are social. And it's important to see a person as one person and a whole person. Doing mission together is about the 120,000 people who come to the Salvation Army each year trusting us to assist them with some need in their life. And we might walk with them in some physical need or some social need or some emotional need. And then over here, we do church. But the whole life that we're talking about, the bringing life that is this mission of the army, is the warm invitation for people who are exploring amongst us some of these other needs to actually perhaps come on a spiritual journey within the Salvation Army. And for us, that means that we should be intentional in our invitation for people to explore their spirituality. And we want to encourage them in every way to do that. And wouldn't it be wonderful if that might be explored within the Salvation Army? And that's what doing mission together is all about, is actually just enhancing every door that might be open, every step that might be taken, every invitation that might be given. That in no way that we would be forcing anyone, but in caring for the whole person, we might engage and invite and encourage people on a spiritual journey. As we've travelled the territory, we have seen so many places where this is at work. We celebrate where there is strong connection between education and employment in a local core. We celebrate the recovery churches within core and within the Bridge program. We celebrate the connections that are being made between reintegration services and core, youth community services and the core work. It's about just bringing this wonderful wholeness of life and taking every opportunity to invite people into a spiritual journey to add to all else that is going on, that we might truly bring wholeness and fullness of life through the Salvation Army.
Ngarara tunua te maunga, maruarua te awa, nā tuki matawhaurua te waka, ngarara tunua te marae, ngā te kahu o Torongare te hapu, ngā puhi te iwi, ko Trevor McLean ahau, no Whangarei ahau. So my name is Trevor, I'm from Whangarei.
Kia ora, my name is Gloria Reid McLean.
Yes, I've been a drug addict for nearly 30 years. At first it was about connecting and having fun with your friends, and then slowly it's all I thought about, it's all I wanted.
It's like walking on eggshells, just not knowing when the next rage was going to kick in with Trevor.
I couldn't see any other problems, I couldn't see past the drugs. When I didn't have a job, I couldn't justify, I couldn't buy, and I knew I was in a desperate place. One time I went to the Ngunguru Medical Centre, and the nurse there offered me some of those patches to give up smoking, and I says, well, wrong kind of smoke. And she basically said, I'm a soldier with the Salvation Army, and there's this lady that would be great to talk to at the Bridge program. Her name is Hannah Seddon, so I phoned her immediately, set up an appointment, and the next day I went to go and see her. I can still remember vividly the first time I met Hannah, and I thought, oh yeah, she's okay. And then we got to talking, and she shared a bit of her life story. But what I really enjoyed was she wasn't a salvationist. She was a person who cared for me, who didn't judge me.
I find myself in my bedroom just praying that, things would just change. So when Trevor did come home one day and said that he was in the Bridge program and started talking little bits about God, I just thought, wow, what's just happened here?
Part of the Bridge program is the 12 steps, and step 3 was actually handing my life, my addiction and my will over to Jesus. And I found myself doing it just that once, and literally no more drug addiction, no more cravings, no more thinking. It was literally a miracle for me.
Be watching a program and we'd be like, oh, why are they always going on about God? And now that's all we talk about is God. I just love it. Just that passion and fire that I see in him just really inspires me. It just fills me with so much joy just to be a Christian.
Eventually I left the Bridge program, and it's about having that ongoing support. So I thought I'd go to Recovery Church, just a way to offload, listen and actually understand that, you know, I wasn't alone. Huge impact. I discovered for myself that actually drugs wasn't the problem. It had become a problem, but bad attitude, bad behaviour. Statistically, coming through our community ministries, 90% plus, coming through our addiction services, almost 99% Māori, and coming through our employment and education, around 60-65% of Māori. So, you know, Māori ministry was formed because we needed to support ourselves, we needed to support each other, but more importantly, we needed to support our families. And part of our journey coming through the Bridge was actually, what about our cultural identity? What about our self-identity? So we do kapa haka and waiata on a Tuesday, we do monthly hui, we're about to start te reo classes as well. So everyone's seen the value of our self-identity. Now we're to a point where it's about our cultural identity in Christ. We get a lot of people coming in, but what about those people out in the suburbs, out in the districts that can't come in, they might be a bit shy. And so we thought, well, let's just go out to their turf. Let's go out onto their street. So we'll take out a barbecue, we'll do a sausage boil up, we'll also take clothes from the family store and goodies for the kids and anything else that's available through the food bank. It's about connecting with them. I'm passionate for whangarei core and I'm extremely passionate for Māori ministry and whangarei. Nā te raudo, naku te raudo, ka ora te ope whakaora. So with my basket, with the basket of knowledge of all Salvation Army, we will thrive and we will be able to fulfill and live our mission. Caring for people, transforming lives and reforming society. And that's what it's all about through the power of God. Kia ora.
There's a favourite African proverb that says you cannot give what you do not have. And as we, as Salvationists, want to be part of God bringing life to this world, we come to Him and seek His life-giving Spirit in everything we do and are, that we might truly bring the life of Christ. But we need to come and we need to receive His life in all its fullness, that we might truly bring the life of Christ to others.
Many people have contributed to this mission plan, and we have been incredibly grateful for so much prayer. As we look to the future, Robert and I will not be here with you, but you're here. And with Andy and Yvonne's godly leadership and competency, having been part of the original TSMP, we look with great expectation and anticipation to the future of what God will do as He enables and empowers you to move forward with this plan.